Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop. I know we've been focusing heavy on the house building project lately, but and I've tried to swear off any car work in order for us to focus on the house, because you know, free time is very precious here. So, my daughter, who's now getting to come of driving age, now has a 97 Chevy Lumina, and we're gonna pick it up and take a look around underneath, and it's you know, it's a good car for her to start with. It's you know, it's got a couple 100,000 miles on it, and I'm sure it'll have its issues coming down the pike, but overall it's in solid shape. And you know, the engine has its share of little noises and things that, you know, a 200,000 mile GM car will have, but you know, as far as the basics, getting her around where she needs to go, being safe and reliable, it's got all those bases covered. So it's just a good old car is what it is. And we're gonna take a look underneath and look at the underside of it. It's been painted and had some work done on it, so we want to check that, see where the roots of all that lie, and then we're going to go ahead and fix the little 3-button remote. This one looked like my daughter had mentioned that it didn't work, and when we took it apart, it looked like somebody spilled a Coke in it, and it was all gooked up with, you know, sticky, icky nonsense. And we're going to go into this, and we ultimately found out that it does indeed work, but because the Coke got in there, it messed up a bunch of stuff, and I'll go into that here in a little bit. But first we'll get it up in the air and get a look at the undersides of it and see what its bones look like. So let's get started. Okay, now that we got her up in the air, we'll get a look-see around here and see what we got. Everything looks reasonably tight at first glance. The brakes felt good. Didn't see any issues with that. You know, the car drives nicely. Doesn't feel, you know, sloppy or terrible or loose or anything like that. And you know, steering and ball joints and all that appear to be in good nick. The car belonged to a friend of my stepdaughter, who was going to college and selling it to, you know, move on to a newer, nicer car, and you know, passing it down cheaply to, you know, a first driver. That's a good idea. So you know, I've looked under this car one time before, and everything looked normal, but it was just kind of a cursory glance. You know, we were kind of in a hurry, and I just kind of wanted to get under here and get a good closer look at things, and I discovered something that I missed. And I want you to look at this lower track bar here. Okay, that's normal. Alright, and now all the bushes are, you know, are tight. There's no problems there, but take a look at this one. It's bent. So that is going to have to be replaced. So we're going to have to find one of those in a boneyard and get that fixed. That's not a real, you know, safety issue or anything. I mean, the bar is bent, it's out of whack, yes, but it's not going to fall out of the car or anything. But you know, it's going to screw the alignment of the car up and all, so we definitely need to fix that for her. And you know, and I thought I heard something weird back here one time when I was driving it, and that's what made me bring it in here and take a closer look. And so yeah, bones on me for not catching that the first time, but that's that would definitely prevent them from aligning the car properly, that's for sure. So And then here on this car, that's where the fuel filter lives. So, for those who are interested in knowing. And there's the catalytic converter. And it looks like somebody's replaced that head pipe once already. That doesn't necessarily look factory, but maybe it is. I don't know. And it's, you know, it's a 200,000 mile car, so it's going to have some oil leaks. But, you know, backside of the engine here looks good as far as oil leaks in the back, but it's going to have its front and rear main seal seepage and whatnot. So that's something you accept in a 200,000 mile car, because, you know, do you really want to pay for the expense of dropping the motor out of this thing and fixing it? And the reason, most likely, that the front and rear main seal do leak is because, you know, the crank, main bearings, and all that are going to have some slop in them after 200,000 miles. So, you know, as long as it's not too terrible, you just kind of deal with it, and you know, it always looks a lot worse than it really is, because a little bit of oil goes a long way when it's leaking underneath the car. And we knew that the air conditioning was poop on this car, as the compressors froze up. So I'm sure we'll end up having to fix that at some point. That's going to be fun. So anyway, let's move on to the alarm remote. Okay, so basically what we're starting with is a standard little 3-button remote, and the first thing you want to do with one of these, of course, is always check the battery. But when these have a variety of failure modes that they can go through. Once we first took it apart, you'll notice, even still, despite the fact that I wiped it out, you'll see, you can still see some of the wet spooge in there. That's what it does is it basically eats the carbon buttons up on the buttons. Those are just little carbon contacts that act as a switch on these little pads right here with the little zigzag contacts in them. So and what they do is they make contact between those pads, and that's what enables the function, either unlock, lock, trunk, or alarm if the car happens to have it. Now this car happens to not have it, but what we did is we went into, you can go to just about any auto parts store, and they'll have a tester for these remotes. Now, there's two different kinds. You have an RF remote, and then you have an infrared remote. Most of them are RF now, but so what we did was we cleaned it up, and we just basically set it in here such that you know, we could test it, and basically held it and mechanically shorted out or made these contacts and determined that the remote actually does work. So we're good with that. So what we can do is, very inexpensively, is to get a replacement case, and you can order these online. They're I think I paid like $7 for this one, free shipping and all that good stuff. And most of the time they'll even send you a little lost key thing, that if you ever lose your keys and somebody finds it, they can just drop it in a mailbox. But this has basically the whole, everything but the circuit board. So what we do, this comes with all the goodies, and we have to assemble this. We have to put this battery contactor in here.